the culture disappears once you come to the United States. Part of it is, this whole idea of acculturating. Part of it is that you want to fit in, so you want to do it the USA way. There's a lot of things that we have from our own culture that for us is extremely important for us to keep alive.
The Scotch are very fond of eating, eating and tea. In Scotland, chicken was something you got for Christmas. And of course, when we arrived, my aunt had chicken and everything, and my mother said, "Chicken? But it's not a holiday." She said, "It doesn't have to be a holiday to eat chicken in America."
The first time Mike met the family was at a Thanksgiving dinner. And it was the typical Thanksgiving dinner in my family. My mother would have Thanksgiving dinner, my aunt would have Christmas dinner, an uncle would have another dinner. But then all of the families got together, cousins, uncles, nieces, nephews, everybody. So here was Mike coming to this family dinner, but they treated him just like one of the family.
I do like Thanksgiving, even though it's a very American thing. All that pilgrim stuff is nothing Germans have anything to do with. Our harvest feast is much simpler than that, but I sort of, have adapted Thanksgiving.
I find my Christmases more simplistic and more really just a fun time, especially if it's snow on the ground. It's not all about presents. It's just really about being together. And I try to share as many of those things with my mother now. Christmas is always with her now.
Christmas is my favorite holiday because with Puerto Ricans, Christmas is a long process. Here in New York, it's kind of died down, but in Puerto Rico, you would go from house to house and eat and play music and drink and go to somebody else's house, and you gather more and more people as you go to other people's houses. So it's this big celebrations.
New Year's. Around 7 o'clock, my mother had spent all day cleaning the house from one end to another. Then she put a white tablecloth on, and she put down Scotch pies and all kinds of cakes and shortbread and black bun and all, big thing. And then there was whiskey for the men and soda for the kids. Ladies got port wine if they wanted.
My passion now is education. I want to, I guess, kind of fulfill my destiny and bring the arts and education together. I think an important part of this also is to show that arts is still important. I've been doing this since I got here from Luxembourg. I've been working hard every year just to keep on doing my craft. I had my hand crushed in a steel door, and I had my hand in the cast 3 times. I just basically went to physical therapy. I had surgery also done, and it was my right hand. So this was my statement coming back from that injury. The poetry in this mural was actually basically for the aunt. She wanted to leave a message behind for Michael, and she came up with this saying. I tried to combine a lot of things, the staircase, the sun, the clouds, just set a mood, to show that he is going to a better place. I grew up with a lot of people here in this neighborhood, West Indian, Russian, Hispanic. That allowed me to grow, to go about working in each project. And the more exposure, I was exposed to art at a young age. When I came here, I was doing sculpture in 5th grade. I consider myself kind of a journeyman because I've been learning the trades, I've worked everywhere. I've done electrical work, I've done iron work, I've done carpentry, painting, and those are the experiences that I've tacked on to my belt, and that knowledge will stay with me for the rest of my life.
we're more alike than we are different. And I guess we're both slightly odd, so that's so that makes it nice.
I found myself going to Bloomington, Indiana, which is where I had some friends, and being there and trying to study jazz and music. Although I wasn't enrolled in the university, I was just hanging out, and I met Janice. Everything I owned and everything Janice owned would fit in the back of a Ford pickup truck, and we were living kind of like gypsies. No insurance,
Yeah.
no credit cards, no
But we
real
were
cash.
young.
We were young and
In a time when you could be that way. It's strange because you don't think of it as an interracial relationship, especially after all of these years. I had just graduated college and wasn't going to go home and was waiting tables. So we got together in a band. We're pretty good in working together, and there's not really a boss at that point. He rules the bass and what he's playing there, and I sing.
I had hair. She had big hair, really big hair, and platform shoes in the '70s. And we were in a band playing funk music. Her parents let her go with me. She just graduated from college, and here's this bass player in this band, and we're playing lounges and nightclubs.
I grew up in the Pentecostal church. If I had stayed in the church, I would have never married Mike. Because in the church that I grew up in, if you were not a member of the church, if you were not saved, you could not marry outside of the church. I am glad for the way I was raised because it gave me a foundation. It was a nice thing to grow on. So I would never not want the roots that I have, but I have grown beyond that.
I'm not having the orderly, very clear from here to there sort of journey that pastors in the church have. And I miss that sometimes because it was very safe. The pain, the shame, the ugliness, the frowns, the nasty looks from people, I saw it all, experienced it all. This poverty really made me as gritty as I am now and as earthy, I think, as I have become. You know, there is something to me that is very indestructible because I've been there. Being a pastor's kid is a interesting way of growing up, sometimes a little scary way, because everybody is watching you all the time. neighborhood that had almost everybody speaking Spanish. I spoke German, spoke school English, but certainly no Spanish. When I came to Brooklyn and I told somebody I was from Germany, the first thing out of their mouth was, "So is your name Hitler?" And that was painful and scary, and so I think for a while I just tuned that away, tuned that out. Didn't want to be a German. But because I felt so homeless eventually, I struggled. I'm still struggling really how to be a German. It was very powerful to sort of see all the intellectual stuff that I have build up around my faith fall into pieces, and all that was left was, Jesus help me. And I found myself, like so many times, found myself at the organ in the church, screaming at God, being very angry with God, but expressing all that in music. Ultimately a call to be there for those who cry, for those who don't have somebody to stand in for them or stand up for them. That has become my call.
My name is Enrique Andino. I'm Puerto Rican, but I identify a lot with the Mexican culture because I lived in Mexico. You know, I always call myself a Mexi-Rican. In Puerto Rico, well, it was the Spaniards, the Native Americans, and the Africans. Even though most Puerto Ricans would say they're Catholic, a lot of them also believe in Yoruba, you know, which is normally is called Santeria. I try to really go back into my roots to find out more about who I am. The masks are from Puerto Rico, and they're made out of coconut, and they're painted. And these are very much from African culture. And as you can see, I also have some little African figures there.
Beautiful.
These 3 dolls represent spirits that protect me. This one that's dressed in blue, she is more of a homebody. So when I'm home, I feel her presence more about. The man, he protects me out in the street. I feel his presence when I'm out on the street. Sometimes I always tell people that I feel that he's my eyes. This spirit, she likes to travel. She's the party spirit. She travels with me. In fact, when I was in Mexico just recently, her presence was definitely near me most of the time. I'm legally blind. Savannah's gonna be 5 years old on September 5th. And she's been with me 2 years, 2.5 years almost. And she's a great dog. Other people have dogs that they leave them at home and then they come home and the dog is there.
Right.
And she's with me practically all the time. A good dog is that she follows instructions and she knows how to lead you and guide you down the street, up and down the stairs, especially the stairs, because she, one false move and
Problems.
And there you go down the stairs. As a person living with HIV/AIDS and legally blind, I think it empowers me to see that I'm still an active force in my community. I work with LGBT elders. I work with elders trying to get them connected to social activities, and through that get them involved to services and also to become more politically active in issues that pertain to senior citizens. This is the People with AIDS Leadership Training Institute for being a trainer. This is a Puerto Rican gay group. They honored me with this. And this I got when I was part of the prevention planning group. We say that, we don't want to do the party scene, we don't want to go to the bars, but there aren't much of an alternative. So I guess for me, is to create that alternative. Let's do a poetry reading, learning about other dances from other cultures that we are in contact with. Being up in the Bronx and Harlem, it's more about creating a culture of a person of color. So it's more about trying to connect the Black experience, the Latino experience, or the Asian experience with being gay, and how could we provide activities that are appropriate for those communities. Julio and I met 5 years ago, right before my birthday. It was when I was breaking up with my previous lover. And we just became friends. He would walk me up to the corner and we would talk, started going to the movies. At first we got involved, but then I pulled back because I still wasn't over my ex-lover. I'm 14 years older than him, so sometimes trying to talk about things that I did when I was a kid, and it's kind of different from what he grew up thinking. So sometimes I'll hear a song and I'll say, he's like, oh, do you remember? And then I realize it's like, nah, you wasn't even born when that song was around. I have a large collection of Latin America, Spanish movies, and we collect it and we sit here and we watch it. The issue of being legally blind is an issue that's really difficult here at the house because we're constantly fighting about things being moved. It's constantly a learning thing here at the house as well as out in the street. Then this year for Valentine's Day, I asked him if he would like to get married. When we went to buy the rings, the woman who realized what was going on, what the rings were for, she was extremely supportive. So again, I think for me that also feeds into at least my own personal view that sometimes if you give people a chance to try to understand the G and the L thing, they might be more understanding. Sometimes I think you need to risk it. But for my mother, it's a big thing. She wasn't raised in that time when people talked about that.
Each of these candles represents each one of you. At the moment that you unite them, you will create a single light.
She embraced us and she hugged us and she said that she was so happy that she had been here and been a part of it. And I mean, I think she deals with it to the best of her ability. I mean, I think she's, her being gonna be 70 has a lot to do with it.
Julio, let this ring be a symbol of my everlasting love and commitment to you.
If people want to do it, it's great. For those gays and lesbians who don't want to do it, they should support it because it's a choice. It's a matter, today you might not be supportive of it. 5 years down the line, you might be.
You may now seal your vows with a kiss. Pueden sellar sus votos con un beso.
How do we deal more in awareness instead of being in autopilot and letting things just happen? Why can't we take time out to be aware of what has happened during the day and how we can focus on how I can move through that, whatever the issue is, because we want to always be growing.
Okay, see you guys later.